I am here with Carlos Spencer. Carlos Spencer's in the band 95 South, who came up with the songs Whoot, There It Is, Tootsie Roll, and Rodeo.
Among others.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few more records. I was a part of the creation of The Train, and I also produced records for LFO, Jordan Knight. A few more people in the industry. So my portfolio is pretty deep, but
yeah,
I don't like to brag about it.
Yeah. Now you're probably wondering what's going on right now. Carlos is the owner of a hair salon called Bamboo over in Jacksonville, Florida, and I'm about to get a haircut. Give me a little trim.
Yeah.
Now, Carlos, I've basically known you all my life.
Yeah.
I actually have the original Whoot, There It Is cassette.
Wow. This is a collector's item. You know that, right?
Yeah,
cassettes, man. Wow, I haven't seen a cassette in years.
So what was the transition like going from cassettes to CDs?
Well, the cassettes were the standard at that time. Everybody in their car stereos, they had cassette players, and the CD thing was getting ready to start taking off. So we had Itchy Barn Records gave us a van, $10,000, and like 20 boxes of cassettes. The CDs were going to come a week later, so we just hit the road and passed them out. We sold a few, but outside of that, they were the standard at the time. And when CDs came about, a lot of people didn't have CD players in their cars, or mostly in their homes and stuff like that. So, but it was interesting to see the shift. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna have to sign that for you.
Great, man. That sounds good. Now, how did you get into music? How did everything start with you?
Well, I think it started at birth, at conception. When I was a toddler, this is a picture of me. I think it was about 14 months. Can you see that? Yeah, my father had a very deep collection of records. So I was exposed to music at a young age, and my older brother Michael, he was a great writer. He's actually the one who wrote The Train.
Oh, really?
And, he did a lot of production for us, but he exposed me to it at a young age, and through him buying records and having a big boom box in the late 80s, and that's when I kind of really started getting interested in music.
Yeah.
Emily.
Now, Whoot, There It Is, that's the song that really got you guys really popular, wasn't it?
Right. It was 1993, and I was doing hair in the hair salon, and my brother and Jay McGowan actually came into the salon, and they were like, "Carlos, we have an idea for this record. I think it'd be bomb. Let's go do it. Let's record it." We were like, "Cool." So that night we went over to the studio, and they had a couple of things written, so we all sat down and came up with a few more concepts for the record, and we recorded.
Right.
And not really understanding, or thinking that it would do anything. We just did. It was fun music, and that was what we wanted to represent. We wasn't into the gang banging or, the violent music. It was just party music.
Yeah.
So we went in the studio, recorded it, and the rest is history. And on top of that, we decided, we want to, go ahead and do an album. So we just played around with a few things. So we did the Quad City Knock album, which was 95's our first album, in 7 days.
Oh, really?
Recorded the whole album from start to finish, 7
Wow.
days. We just was playing around the studio and did it. And lo and behold, a couple of months later, it was one of the biggest records in the country.
That's great.
Yeah.
Especially coming out of Jacksonville.
Yeah. It was hard, because at that time people really wasn't looking or even really trying to do any music. It was a select few.
Mm-hmm.
I can name a few. There was a guy named MC Cool. You had the Chill Deal Boys, Mama Do, Doc Box and Be Fresh. What's up, fellas? It was a handful of people doing music. ICJ, 3 Grand. So it was a very small community, and we all knew each other. And the music really wasn't popping here. So for us, we decided that it would be best for us to go to Atlanta and pursue the dream.
Now, Whoot, There It Is, whenever you guys first wrote that song, a month later, another band called Tag Team wrote a song called Whoomp, There It Is.
I mean, you say,
which is
Right.
basically the same chorus and everything. Now,
Yeah.
how did that affect you guys?
Shit. It affected us a lot because we really didn't take the record serious in the beginning because it just didn't sound good to us, because we were, our music was, a little more fine-tuned, it was, the lyrics were a little more expressive. So it really didn't matter in the beginning because I remember being in Detroit, Michigan, and we were in a shoe store, and the guy who owned the shoe that came out with this picture of these two guys. He was like, "Hey, have you guys ever heard of these guys?" We were like, "No, Tag, who was that?" I said, "They look like somebody, look like my uncle." I was like, who are these guys? He was like, "They have this song called Whoop, There It Is. It sounds like your guys' record." I was like, "Really?" He was like, "Yeah." So he said they were through here about a couple of days ago, and they were promoting this record. It sounds like you guys. I was like, "I don't believe it." So we left, and we just laughed about it a little bit. Then we got back to Atlanta. We flew back into Atlanta to our record label, and they was like, "Yeah, guys, this is record that's charted, and it's Baddest Group Tag Team, and it's almost like the identical record." We were like, "No," so let us see. So we pulled it up, looked at it in Billboard, and sure enough, they had charted. We was like, "Damn, what is this?" So somebody decided to pull the sales on it. Let's see what the record is doing. So the first week we noticed we were selling at that point, I believe, like 12,000 records a week. They
Wow.
were selling like 1,500.
Wow.
We were selling. Then the next week we would sell 15,000. They were up to 6. Then we got like 20,000 records a week. They got to 10. So it just kept gradually catching up. It was like, what's going on with this record? And not understanding at that time, marketing and positioning, front rack positioning in stores and things of that nature. So they were beating us out on the marketing and promotion side, but we were still killing them in record sales. And then one day we looked up, we were selling like 80,000 records a week, and they were selling like 50. And soon ours topped off at like 88,000 records a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went to 60, 70, and then they went over to 100,000, and it was just bananas. We couldn't believe it, and our attorneys were like, "What's going on with you guys? I mean, what are you guys gonna do?" And we just didn't know what to do at that point. So we just kind of let it go for a while. But eventually we did come to an agreement, because there was a law about confusing the public, because people would go in to ask for our record, but the people in the record stores didn't know. They just knew it was Whoop, There It Is.
Yeah.
So they would give them their record. So it kind of cut into our record sales. So in the end, I believe they sold 6.5 million records, and we did like 4.
Oh, wow.
So they beat us out by 2 million record sales.
And there's nothing you could have done about that?
I mean, not really. We didn't have the phrase copywritten or anything, so it was really nothing we could do. But we did settle out of court, and they did a mix of both records together. They wrote us a check, and we just called it a day. It wasn't worth it, because by the time we went to court and figured everything out, the attorneys would have been the ones who got rich, not us.
Oh, yeah.
So
Definitely.
Itchabon Records was based out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Right.
So we moved to Atlanta, Georgia. Everybody quit their jobs, and so we're gonna move to Atlanta. So we moved to Atlanta. Didn't have anything in the apartment. A beat machine and some records. And Itchabon called us like, "We like the record, and we want to go in and we want to do a new mix to it." We're like, "Cool." So they took us to this studio called Digital Edge, which was in Atlanta, and they were one of the first companies that had Pro Tools. So we went in not understanding, because the way we used to record was with tape. They call it ADAT or 2-inch tape.
Oh, really?
Right. So, and when you record it, you got those were your masters. You take your tapes and you leave. But Pro Tools, by being digital and computerized, we didn't know that when we left. We took a copy of the CD. We thought that was our master, but they still had the data session. So the guy from Tag Team, he was a DJ in the strip club in Atlanta. We took him the record to play.
Wow.
He heard the record. He was like, "Oh, this is the shit. Oh, this is the shit. Oh, yeah, Whoop, there it is." That night, I don't know if it was that night, maybe the next morning, him and his friend went to the studio, knew the guy who had the recording, went in and copied it verbatim.
Wow.
When we said Whoop, they said Whoomp. When we said look at here, they said shaka laka, shaka laka. You know, when we said, ooh wee, look at that booty, they said, ooh, B-O-O-T-Y, oh my. And even the word booty at that time kind of hurt us because radio was so conservative at that point. A lot of the crossover churban station wouldn't play booty, but because they said B-O-O-T-Y, oh my, those stations were like, okay, we'll play this record over the 95 because they said booty and nah, they shake your ass. Watch us now. Everything on the radio now, but back then it was a little more conservative and that's what it was, you know what I'm saying? So, but at the end of the day, we had fun with it.
Yeah, so since you're with the hair salon now, how did that transition go from being this rap star into going into owning this hair salon again? Because you cut hair before. Did you own a hair salon then?
No, I never owned a salon before, but I was active in the hair industry. I actually started barbering at the age of 12.
Oh, really?
And right out of high school, I went to Rockville Beauty Academy. What's up, Mr. Smith? And went in as a barber stylist and realized that there weren't a lot of girls on the barber side, so all the women were on the Cosmo side. I wanted to be where the girls were, so I said, "Barber, I'm gonna do Cosmo." So went in and met some very nice people, you know, and also I had a very good mentor by the name of Robert Chanel, and among other people, Shawan Simmons, and people who allowed me to come in and they trained me and things of that nature. But yeah, I was doing hair in high school and just came back to it. They came back to what I really love and what I know, and it's been working for me.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to come out here and give me a haircut.
You know, get some footage of an old rapper. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
Not too old, but you know.
Definitely come out to Bamboo Studios. Get yourself a haircut.
Check us out.